Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm joined by Brad, the designer of Cavern, which is a D20 roll and write adventure style game that's on Kickstarter right now. Now, first of all, welcome to the show, Brad. Please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about the game.
Hi, I'm Brad Hiscock, creator of Cavern, the roll and write adventure. Happy to join you guys tonight and want to thank Ollie for having me on.
In a nutshell, Cavern is a light dungeon crawler wrapped up and delivered as a roll and write adventure. It involves a healthy dose of luck, some strategy, a bit of pressure luck, but overall a quick, fun experience that isn't mentally taxing and can be taken anywhere. It's a solo game that can also be played in a group by comparing scores. You can play a single map in about 15 minutes, or try to do a full adventure of 5 maps in 60 to 90 minutes.
The D20 does make Cavern stand out and it gives it that RPG sort of feel, but aside from being different to a D6, what does it actually bring to the experience?
That's a great question. From a statistics angle, it allowed me to have a little bit more control over probabilities, and from a design aspect, it allowed me the chance to include more options and different outcomes that you could probably include still with D6s, but it'd usually be multiples of D6s or other mechanics that you'd have to use to accomplish the same thing that I can do with a single D20.
Having experience in tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, and board games that would be considered heavier weight, I wanted to dip into some of those elements that made that genre enjoyable, while not scaring off fans of simple and short games. It turned out to be harder than expected, as I tended to include too much and favor higher difficulty games, but the end product is way closer to mainstream than where I started out, but might just be what some would call a gateway game to gently introduce gamers to other genres.
With traps, treasures, enemies and more, when it came to actually sort of designing and developing all of these different things in the roll and write, what did you have to do to sort of make sure that it wasn't too complicated, lots of complicated calculations for players to make?
I hinted at that one a moment ago. The short answer is I didn't succeed at that right away, and it took quite a while and iterations to get to the simplified version that we have now.
I had a ton of extra things, and some still might make it in to the expansion material, like finding secret rooms, collecting keys to unlock areas, or unique enemies, varying bosses, complicated items, die modifiers, you name it. Ultimately, I had to accept the audience that I was trying to cater to were unlikely to embrace all of these things when they were expecting a quick roll and write game. At the same time, I really didn't want to deliver something that was more or less about rolling a bunch of die in a row and marking off specific squares based on the values that are shown on those dice. In the end, I settled on a equal to or better type of system to resolve most things, and that omitted the need for players to make any complicated calculations. In other situations, I made them single use and simple addition, so you don't need to track or stack multiple different types of items at the same time.
It sounds like you've come to a nice balance there. Is it that or something else that sort of kept you as the designer wanting to play Cavern?
Tinkering with that fine line of simple but interesting kept my attention on this project, and I always wanted to maintain a level of danger and difficulty that you could have to overcome, or you could pressure luck and keep pushing into the dungeon and against maybe like low health, and you always had that ability to fail, but you could risk a complete loss of the game to try to get a bigger or better reward. So that kind of thing really kept me going.
I love that it's completely possible to die within the first 5 minutes if you're not careful, or you make some bad decisions, have a string of bad rolls, something like that. And I experimented with making it very difficult to lose or to die in that manner, and it was too far outside of what I was trying to accomplish. Something just didn't sit right with me to have a dungeon crawler that you won every time, and it was just a difference in how well you did and the score. Where's the adventure without the daring?
I'm sure I'd manage to die very quickly. What's one thing that has changed a lot through the design process?
definitely the amount of content and the difficulty level, the game that it is now, is far more streamlined than original versions.
Cavern is on Kickstarter right now. Can you tell us how long the campaign's going to run for?
At the time of this recording, Cavern had launched just last evening, January the 18th, and it's going to run for 28 days and be completed on February the 15th. And it has already reached its funding goal, so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Is the Kickstarter page the only place that people can find out more about the game?
If anyone would like to learn more about the game, they could head to the campaign page and find most information there. If they wanted to reach out, they could certainly message me directly on Facebook or our Convivial Games page, or at our email at brad@convivialgames.com.
Now for a bit of a fun one, what game do you think has the best meeple in it?
Ooh, that's tough. I really like custom components. I won't say best, but a game that springs to mind is one that I reviewed last year called Holotype.
I like their meeples because they had 3 types in a tier system: a paleontologist, a grad student, and an assistant. The paleontologist meeple being the strongest and the assistant the weakest. Of course, they were visually unique and cool, and not just a difference in size.
And well, that wraps us up. Thank you very much, Brad, for coming on and answering the questions about Cavern and giving us a little bit of a glimpse behind the process and what has changed and all that sort of stuff.
Thanks for the chat. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I want to wish everyone a great night. Goodbye.
The links mentioned in today's show will be in the description box, so you don't need to go and hunt them out. So you can go and find out more about the game, as well as heading over to the Kickstarter page. And well, goodbye from me as well.